Hello, and welcome back to the 21st annual Player Networking event, the Handle Your Business podcast. And this is the first virtual player networking event. And you have been watching interviews all day here on the Player Networking event platforms, hosted by myself, Moniek James, and Sabryna Crutchfield, and our other team, Ray Ellis and Kirk Dixon. And we're back. I like to think we're the varsity team. But anyway, we're back with another interview coming to you with the handsome face that you see here in the stream, Mr. Taylor Simpson. So Taylor is a social entrepreneur, technologist, a startup advisor, and the founder of the Halo app. The Halo app is a private lending community that connects borrowers to backers, allowing people to not have to go to payday lenders or to bank. The Halo app really it changes the way users believe in people and disrupts age-old infrastructures while creating new opportunities for millions. And I know some of you just stopped when you heard that M word, right? So Taylor, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this conversation. How are you doing on this beautiful Friday?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share, what we're building in front of this audience and to gain new friendships, in talking to you two. So, yeah, I'm great. It's been a beautiful week. 2021 has been a smidge better than 2020. And we have some really cool things that we're doing as a company in terms of our growth. So I'm on cloud nine. I feel great.
Good. That's awesome. So talk to us a little bit about what the Halo app is. What tell us what it's about. Tell us how you came to this idea.
It's a change maker. For me, I've always been a problem solver. I've always been really interesting in finding solutions, because there has to be some sort of solution to pretty much every problem that we have. I was an architect for quite a bit of time directly out of school. Just wasn't as fulfilling, for me as I thought it would be. And you know, usually when people look for fulfillment or any sort of self-seeking, entrepreneurship is a way to do that. Um, and so I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with how technology was creating solutions for people. But in researching or deep diving into technology, I found that there were not a lot of solutions that were geared toward me or my community or the truest problems that existed, especially in the financial space. Um, and so I thought, hey, why not us? Why not me? Let's build something that can truly create a change for, members of my family even. Um, and I had an aha moment. I was coming back from a work trip, and I had a friend from school, from Ball State University, that reached out to me and said, hey, congratulations! I see you're doing really well. I saw your Instagram pictures and stuff on Facebook. Really need a favor. I'm short just a couple $100. I would love it if you could just support me. And for me, one, how vulnerable was that for somebody to reach out? And anything finance is a touchy subject, but two, I had it. It was an absolute for me. Yeah, I can help out. And for a young professional that had money all over the stock market, lending someone $200 and getting back 250 was a mind blowing return in 4 weeks. And I just thought, like, how unique, how interesting. The current financial system is old and dated and stagnant and biased, incredibly biased. um, and this was just incredibly fluid. Just people lending to people stuck out to me. I saw the world connecting, people to people was changing the world. You saw the Ubers and the Airbnbs and all these markets that were connecting people instead of the way it exists today. And our thought was, why not finance? So, how can we share our wallets? Because that was always the most efficient way for me. I was asking my parents for money at a certain period. My friends, we asked each other, my coworkers, we loaned each other money. But there was no technology or system that was in place to do the connecting. And also, I'm blessed, right? Like, I have a family member, an uncle that can lend me money. I have friends, that are stable enough to lend. But for some communities and some people, maybe you don't have that resource, or maybe you don't have that family member. And we are one central family. So how can we connect with strangers from anywhere in the country How can we share our wallets with anybody that has a need, whether it's, a church in Delaware, whether it's somebody in California, all the way to somebody in New York City or Chicago. That was kind of the preface. And I became incredibly passionate about, payday loans, because I thought this was an obvious solution for payday loan centers. People are walking into these centers, which are everywhere. And, that's a longer conversation. I do a lot of speaking around like redlining and equity in finance. But, people walk into these centers, they need $500 for a flat tire, or, to pay for soccer camp, or, put groceries on the table, and they walk out with a $1,300 bill that they have to pay in a month, or a
Yeah.
month and a half or 2 months. And how arrogant, am I to walk into a store and swipe a credit card, when that's not a luxury allotted to a third of our country. And they're the same, every time we swipe a card, we're taking out a loan from a bank. So instead of doing that, why not walk into an app, request how much you need up to $1,000. Incredibly simple. It's clean and smooth and fun, and you feel like people care about you, and we can connect you with somebody, that can support you in your greatest time of need. And so that's essentially what the Halo app is. We're community focused. We have some, core targets that are specific to the opportunity here with athletes, with professional athletes, with collegiate students, which we'll talk about in a second, and more about our community model. But the Halo app connects people for finance. Share your wallet.
Taylor, this is such a modern solution to such an ancient issue. I just have to compliment your thinking for this. I was also thinking about, so when somebody goes to request money on the Halo app, do they have to include the reason they're requesting? So maybe if somebody wanted to start a small business, or all the way to, like you said, somebody with a flat tire, is there any specific reason you have to have, or?
We ask, right? I mean, that's good data for us to have just in general. But and I love that you said business, because, I have the privilege of being in an environment where a lot of people don't understand necessarily $1,000 being a small business loan. I was the small business owner that had to pass on a wedding as a graphic designer, because I couldn't, spend $500 to get the material and resources I need. So absolutely, we reach out to people. The way we get users now is we partner with communities, which was transformative for the app in general. But now I can reach out to a pastor, or I can reach out to a business owner and say, hey, we have this solution, this opportunity for people to access money. Do you think this would be beneficial to you and in your community? And usually, because they're targeted conversations, it's an absolute yes. Like, oh my goodness, my congregation goes to payday loans all the time, or oh, there's one next door, or oh my, my employees are asking for some sort of lending program, and I'm just thinking like, there's no way. Well, why not tap into your greatest resource, which is always going to be us. It's always going to be people. And in that capacity, it could be the people that are providing. It doesn't have to be the church, or it doesn't have to be the company. There's dollars, there's human capital that are already inside of these communities, and they can be the backers. And the communities, again, could be small business communities. We partnered with, newspapers. We partnered with chambers. We've partnered with businesses that have a variety of small business owners within their company. We've worked with boutique owners and barbers and beauticians, when everything was going to, last year, and people were forgetting about the heart of this country. And offering grants for spas and gyms, and calling them small business owners. We are focused on making sure that the beauty shop that had to go online had $500 to start a website, and that was absolutely a small business loan. And some of those loans were backed by college students, or backed by single mothers, or backed by contractors. I mean, that's that human connection that we're starting to see on multiple different levels. So yeah, absolutely. Small business, absolutely. We want to know what this stuff is being used for. Interesting part about our community model is the community leaders can see that information as well, to really start to get to know the financial makeup of the people that they're already serving. Maybe there's a spike coming. So now I know in June I have a lot of people within my community that need access to loans. Maybe I can, custom fit, my community to serve, them a bit better. And these are the insights that are really gonna, affect some change in the communities that we want to serve anyway.
So good. So Taylor, one of the themes of the Player Networking event this year is legacy, right? The foundation of this event and why it exists and has been around for 21 years is to support and assist athletes for the transition. We're not operating under the delusion that any athlete will be able to play the sport that they enjoy for the rest of their lives. So when you were talking, I really was hearing that legacy piece coming up, because that's what you're doing. You referenced this earlier. It's creating that equity in the communities where it's needed. It's bringing the power to the people. Really equipping the backers to know that they can have an impact in their community on somebody else's lives, but then also reminding the borrowers, letting them know that they're still seen, even in traditional financial structures where the banks tell you no and the payday lenders take advantage of you. There is still a place where you can go to get the support that you need. And I would think for some people, even without the getting the access to the funds is a bonus, but just being able to know that somebody sees you, somebody hears you, somebody is invested in helping you overcome your own challenges, that is a legacy move for me, because that really starts to change mindsets about access and availability and even worthiness. People really get a chance to see that somebody out there is interested and is invested in the things that plague them. So talk a little bit about maybe the grand vision, that you have for the Halo app, because on the street level, it is connecting back, borrowers to backers. But what's kind of that big vision that you have for how this platform will be able to help more communities that didn't have access before create legacy?
Oh, just a dramatic shift of wealth. For for us, even right now, right? I mean, we talk about it a lot. Our first impact project is payday loans, right? There's 12 million Americans that take out $4 billion in payday loans, and they pay $10 billion in fees every year. So that's $10 billion that's ripped from families each year. And it's supposed to double, just from the effects of 2020. So, when we say, hey, instead of paying on average, right, 420%, come here and we'll put $8 billion back every year into the community, or just once, because after they use us, there's no more industry. We use that language a lot. Like, we can get rid of payday loans tomorrow. And that's, my personal legacy. That's what I'm extremely passionate about, like a dramatic shift of wealth in this country, and a dramatic shift of the opportunity for freedom for families. And the beautiful part about this is, we want to work with every single professional athlete, every NFL player, every potential collegiate student that can start to build their own communities. We want to open up a revolving fund with every single person. Example, our largest partner, Alliance for Hope, has about 150 to 200,000 domestic violence survivors in their network. Currently, if anybody needs help, they're writing checks. We approached them and said, start a revolving fund with us. Get every one of the donors that put money into, the program, the nonprofit, every single year, and put $1 million fund together so that, survivors in your network never have to go to a payday loan center. They'll always have access, and we can connect them directly to the donors that are already passionate, prosecutors, judges, police officers, survivors that are backers as well, survivors backing survivors. But in that shift of wealth, right, that's $100 million in loans that are not going to be payday loans, right? They're going to be loans directly from donors. And we talk about the NFL, it's $7 billion, I think, in salaries every single year. Average salary, what, 800,000. It's an opportunity to put a $10,000 revolving fund for your ex middle schools and ex high schools and your family members, because oftentimes in what I've heard is a lot of athletes are the payday loan centers for their communities anyway. Right. So you talk about legacy, let's gear together with your old teammates or your friends or some other people that you're with, and put together a revolving fund, that says, here's $25,000 or here's X amount of dollars that, if you all need it, if your ex-middle school teacher's lights are off, here, tap into this fund. There's an app. Here's this community code. This is my code. Whenever you need it, and I'll get a notification when you back some, or, if you're requesting money on the site. So in terms of legacy, that dramatic shift, there's some education that has to come, and there's some trust that has to be built. But once that's done, let's create that legacy by, again, shifting the wealth, creating these revolving funds. It's very simple on the app. You can become your own bank or become your own community lender in a matter of minutes. Instead of just dumping it into nonprofits too. I mean, there's a whole movement to place some of these dollars directly into the community instead of entrusting them, for that overhead dilution, just paying for salary, some people say, for nonprofits to actually hit the need right at the heart. And usually it starts with financial struggle and not having access to good resources.
Taylor, you did something I thought I would never see, which is add a human touch to banking. You never thought you would see that. So that is just so awesome.
We used to always say, I'm a huge historian, love reading, but people talk about it all the time, in the, I wouldn't say older days, because it's not super displaced, but it used to be, the banker, the barber, the pastor. Those are people that you could actually trust. You're holding my money, so why is it so passive? I don't know the teller. You don't know me personally. You don't know my struggles. When I started the company, I was doing really well. I was obviously a backer kind of in the marketplace. In building the company, I became a payday loan borrower. Almost lost my house, had the repo person knocking on my door. My daughter was 6 weeks old and my lights were shut off. Every single possible circumstance, and went to the same bank that gave me a mortgage loan and I couldn't get a $500 credit card. I mean, that's the kind of, my grandfather owned a gas station and he used to give loans in Skittles and pop, right? Here, no, don't worry about it. I know you can't find it. Just give me the $5 when you come back. That's the culture of who we are. And for whatever reason, the world has changed for the worse. But I believe so much in a society that looks like that, where we can support each other, where we don't have to, where there is humanity. I love the fact that you said it. Like there needs to be more human touch in finance, period. And I think we're the company to do that. And to go back to the big vision, we should be at the table. There's multiple banks that sit at the table. Halo Lending Company will be one, and it's all going to be powered by people. The wealth goes back into the community. The savings from using our platform goes back into the community. Our investors are ground level, everyday people as well. We did a completely different route. So there's a lot of benefit there. And then again, we can offer all sorts of services. Every single website that anything credit. I mean, like we're essentially a people-backed credit card. So anything where credit exists, we can be a human substitute.
I love that.
So we got a couple of minutes left here, so I have to ask this question. So as a startup advisor, because you've got the Halo app, and that's one thing you're doing, but you're a Renaissance man, so you're doing other things too, right? So in your role as advisor and having that experience of being in the tech industry, what advice would you give, say to a player that's watching right now that might already be thinking about what their next chapter is going to be, either while they're still playing and kind of planning for the future or after, and they're looking at tech, which, wouldn't be surprised. They're looking at the tech industry as a possible area to go in and play. What advice would you give them for somebody that might be considering getting into the industry, not sure where to start yet, but just really getting their feet wet?
Very catered response. Trust, transferable skills. One of the biggest things that I struggled with was sort of what they call it, imitation syndrome, or just not, like, the feeling of not belonging and
Imposter syndrome. Yep.
I feel like this whole space wants to make you feel that way. I mean, they want you to quit because there's just so much opportunity here. we talk a lot about, like right now, I just actually got off a show about the new Clubhouse app. And it's $1 billion in wealth that was just created over about a 6-month span. There's opportunity here to create change and create change fast. So I think even in working with athletes, we have one, Emil Ekiyor, played in the NFL for a while. He's a strong advisor of ours. He breaks down the business in playbooks, a lot for me, because like it makes a lot of sense for me. Let's keep it simple. Let's do a run. Let's do a dive. You're looking for passes right now. Like we're doing really good just doing runs. So like trust your instincts, like trust the stuff that's transferable, because like it all is. When I first started as an architect, my first investor said, like, why do you think you can do business? I'm like, I don't. I just know I'm an architect, and we do really well at seeing things that don't exist and making them exist. Like that's exactly what I've learned.
That's what I bring to the table,
and that's what I'm gonna bring, right? And a certain, the other pieces are just, true resiliency, and I'm just gonna keep going. I don't stop. And the same thing I did in sports, right? Like, so like trust those transferable skills in tech, and just believe that, if you're building something that you believe matters and that can really impact lives, like keep that purpose. Because just like the understanding that, we're changing lives today is makes it easy to get up at 3 or 4. Same thing as running sprints or going to the track. I mean, you have to get up and you have to learn and cater to your craft. So, there's a huge opportunity for athletes to break out and do more in tech. And I'm excited to, even be a resource and to be a help moving forward too.
So Taylor, if anybody watching here today either wants to become a borrower or become a backer, what is the next step for them?
Please go to our website, www.thehaloapp.com. It will walk you through it, or reach out to me, Taylor at the Halo app, or the Halo Taylor everywhere on social. I've been doing pretty well with growing my social following now.
Let me find you on LinkedIn right now.
Right.
Or Taylor, LinkedIn / the Halo app on LinkedIn. And we're doing a pretty big like relaunch here in March with updates to the community feature, which I'm so excited about. I'm so excited about, and a bunch of super unique partners. So yeah, if you're interested, or if you have a community, especially, could be a church, could be a business, could be a nonprofit that you're starting, could just be your neighborhood. I think my neighborhood's a community, and I want to start a community code for my community and get people engaged. If you want to start a nonprofit attached to the Halo app, we've had people that do that as well. Please reach out. Please, reach out to us on our website. We're growing and we're looking for partners.
So awesome.
That is really great.
So amazing. I love it. It makes me want to weep. Exactly. Already seeing the transformations on top of transformations on top of transformations. It's just amazing, Taylor. This has been such an enlightening, just an enriching conversation. We're so grateful to have, had this opportunity to chat with you and to hear the backstory and learn more about the app and everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Taylor.
So if you all are watching, do not hesitate to reach out to Taylor, follow the Halo app, all the social networks, sign up to be a backer or a borrower. Let's build this thing together. So really is transferring power where it belongs, and that's in the hands of the people. So thank you all so very much for watching. Stay tuned to the Player Networking event Facebook or YouTube channel. Keep following along. If you're not already following, definitely do subscribe and be on the lookout for our next few interviews here for the first virtual Player Networking event, but the 21st annual Player Networking event. So I'm Moniek James with Sabryna Crutchfield and Mr. Taylor Simpson, and I will catch you all in the next broadcast. Bye.
Thank you.